everyone. How are we doing? So this is going to be a shorter stream because Lycan and I are going to go see Wicked in like a couple of hours, but I could not help myself, but I just needed to go live. Holy shit. The 1,000-year reign of Zohran Mamdani and MAGA communism has begun. There has not been unity like this since Churchill and Stalin. This is insane, you guys. It is unprecedented. Zohran apparently not getting deported anymore. So I hear. So it's good to know that even Trump is too weak to resist the undeniable charisma and charm of Zohran Mamdani, who I have had my minor doubts in at different points as far as his political instincts and how he is able to navigate the political landscape that he is faced with. But holy shit, the dude is a prodigy. This is like completely unprecedented as far as like I don't know, like the left flank being able to charm the shit out of MAGA while Donald Trump MAGA while simultaneously pissing them off, because you just know right now every single like pro-Israel massive like Zionist supporter of Donald Trump is like shitting their pants because they're pissed that he's, you know, got led around by Hakeem Mamdani, the scheming jihadist Muslim who just wants to bring woke Sharia law to New York City and destroy everything. And yet Trump is there smiling and laughing with him, even though he said he was going to oppose him. But they also know that they can't go too hard against Trump for this. So it'll be interesting to see how far MAGA goes to, I think the split that you're going to see is to the extent that the base saw any of this interaction, they will see it as, people still like bipartisanship and, civility, decorum, and they'll see it as like a positive reflection of both of them. Like, oh, well, I may not like him. He may be like a crazy socialist jihadist who would cheer on 9/11, but at least he's serious about, putting Americans first and getting deals done with Donald Trump, and then taking that cue from the fact that Donald Trump is reacting like so positively to him. And I think you're going to see negative reactions from the pundit class who are true ideologues when it comes to these things, and they don't want to compromise on these things, and they do want to criticize Trump, but they don't want to go too hard. So when the MAGA meltdowns come in from this, because obviously, again, Mamdani came out on top of that interaction, Trump absolutely is getting led around. Like, we're gonna see it because we're gonna watch the press conference following it. But there were little traps that Mamdani set perfectly, and Trump could not help but take the bait. The most notable one is when Mamdani is like, I care about affordability and groceries. And of course, Donald Trump could not help but say, oh yeah, I care about groceries as well. And I think a big reason as to why it went so well also has to do with the fact that like Mamdani has obviously, made his opposition to Trump clear, unambiguous, and I do think to the extent that you can trust politicians, he is more principled than most. But there is literally no need to engage in the performative fanfare of being like disrespectful to force and show opposition to Donald Trump. And I think leaning into the fact that, like, again, he's like, I just care about New York. I just want to do this. I just want to do that. We agree. As well as not capitulating and just coming off like a sycophant, Trump actually respects. Because he's just surrounded by a bunch of fucking sycophants. A bunch of people who kiss his ass, and you can't respect somebody who kisses your ass. Unprecedented, like, presidential. No, Mamdani can never be president, unfortunately, because he was not born in the United States. Even though that has never made sense to me, and honestly, this is the one part of Cenk's presidential run that I agreed with when he launched his bid. Cenk is a U.S. citizen, but he's naturalized. He was not born in the United States. He was born in Turkey, I believe. But there have been Supreme Court rulings that say American citizens, or even naturalized ones, hold all the same constitutional rights and protections as every single U.S.-born citizen. So it's never made sense to me how they can have that carve out that even if you're naturalized and you're nominally supposed to have every single right, you still can't run for president. But yeah, that never got pushed forward. Wandering Politics, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Your boy killed it. Nobody handled Trump better than that. Stuck to his guns while also brilliantly realigning it. Trump looks at him The way you look at me, good one. Okay. No, Trump looks at him the way he's supposed to be looking at Melania. Just, he was about to call him senpai, practically. It's insane how whipped he is. Okay, give me a second. Let's stop yapping about this and let me pull it up and you guys can see what I mean. It's insane. Where is it? Sorry, I was like in a rush. Didn't even get my documents together. But holy shit. Like every single Dem wishes that they could fucking be this politically effective. And they're getting outflanked by, again, a guy who I as far as I can tell is a prodigy. And somebody said in chat, I called it last night when we were watching PBD's like, you know, pregame speculation with the head of the EPA on his podcast about what's going to happen, like how is it going to go between the two of them. They played this clip of Trump, like he sounded affectionate calling him my little communist. And I was like, could you imagine if like even Trump can't resist his aura? And that turned out to be the case. Okay. Here's where it begins.
That's good for New York. Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year, so that's good for New York.
My God, this stupid. I'm waiting for him to bring up the Walmart thing because I haven't seen all of this in its entirety. I saw the majority of it though.
I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything, and we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true. Having
not right, not left, forward. He said.
Strong and very safe New York, and congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president, I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
And so he starts off on like a positive note. And what do you want to bet the people that will be the most angry about this, although I think both sides have incentives for different reasons to kind of downplay their anger. I already outlined why MAGA is going to be mad. The pro-Israel flank is not going to like that he got led around by Mamdani and Trump handled him with kid gloves and he's lying and you have to be suspicious because Mamdani and Muslims are conniving or whatever. But libs also demand this sort of like performative disavowal of Trump and will not. I think there will, and you're going to see some leftists do this as well. But I truly feel like it's going to be libs that are upset that he's not being forceful enough. He's normalizing Trump. He's doing this. He's like doing these things that he like objectively is not doing and is not capable of doing anyway. But nonetheless, have to like not shit on him entirely.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I got a question for you and then also one for the mayor-elect. For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Could you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Oh my
God.
God.
We didn't discuss your second part of the question. And on your first part, I mean, he's got views that a little out.
We're at a time where we're seeing Nick Fuentes and the Groyper movement be mainstreamed in U.S. politics. And you would think that, like, again, given these questions, some of the first things that they bring up, Israel, what about Israel? What about Israel? You know, and this is a creation of Trump's own doing because who they let into the White House is partly obviously under the discretion of the White House, of Donald Trump and his admin. So they've surrounded themselves with a bunch of fucking sycophantic, pro-Israel, insane, like Christian Zionists who that's their priority. And what better argument are you just handing to the fucking fascists of this country? Or like radicalizing moments when you see that their priorities start and end with, or like if they don't start with, the next thing is, what about Israel? What about Bibi?
There, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot.
We all change
a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that
some of my views have changed. My man's about to say, I am ready to embrace MAGA communism with Mamdani characteristics.
I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
I'm so tired of the Middle East. I swear to God, you and everyone else, Mina.
Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who had betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis.
I don't like that it's all from this angle. Hold on. The one that I was looking at, you could see them both in frame when they were answering. Let me see. Mamdani, Trump, White House. Like, this isn't terrible. I'll stick with that one if I can't find a different one. But this is, let's see. Here, let's do this.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting. I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but
he's got
who
views.
knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but
Trump's on a journey.
That I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who had betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract?
Again, I don't want to overstate things because nothing is for certain. Do not take this momentary charm, like Trump being swept off his feet by Mamdani for long-term security. Trump is a backstabbing, conniving, catty, queenie bitch who will turn on people at the flip of a dime when it comes to anything that insults or offends his ego or he does not understand. These things happen to him frequently. So this is not to say that there is a permanent, there's not even a tenuous, truly like alliance here. It is very, very, this could be transient. But if it lasts, that would be, that would be interesting to see. And should it carry forward and last, it'll be interesting to hear Trump talk more favorably about Mamdani than even certain Democrats being willing to.
Any of these remarks in order.
And I'm hearing people, I think, too prematurely be like, "Oh my God, there's going to be, this is going to, I don't know, again, like some sort of like insane alliance has been formed here, but I don't think that's the case."
To improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the
Trump loves Arab men, Al-Shara, MVS, and Mamdani back to back.
meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President,
it's insane to just watch him jump in like that.
Salim Rashad from MTV Lebanon. I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding, you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position, and Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, what do you say for the Lebanese today? It's the independent state in Lebanon, and what is your next move to push toward the disarmament of Hezbollah?
Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East, as you know.
Frankly, it would be nice if, frankly, every single state in the Middle East could, just unilaterally disarm. That would be nice. We're pushing for that.
The King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon.
Please call them very smart again. Please. He did that back in like 2023 or early 2024.
A big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East. And
oh my God.
We actually have now for the first time peace in the Middle East.
Okay, but the thing is that you know that he's not saying that about Mamdani because of his views on Israel-Palestine. He's literally saying it because Mamdani is Muslim.
After 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president to meet you to the White House.
I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East.
We desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
You said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that. I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President, you've threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you've called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that
one day you will have a Chinese or Russian president because they can legally enter office if elected. Then your nuke codes are up for sale. Jenny XK in YouTube chat, I'm telling you right now, if you asked me who I trusted more with nuclear codes, a regular random Russian civilian or Chinese civilian or Donald Trump, I promise you, the order is like both of those two civilians from different countries are tied for first, and then Donald Trump is a distant second.
If we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think.
Great. So give all your nuclear weapons and codes to Putin. Ha ha ha. Do you realize that this president is probably the president most willing to openly embrace Putin? I'm not saying that you support Donald Trump. My point is that there is nothing that being born in this country on this soil precludes you from being a Russian defector, sympathizer, etc. It doesn't give you it will give you very little insight into what somebody is potentially capable of as far as like what their political ideologies or leanings are.
He wants to get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, on BBC in a second. But first of all, for the mayor-elect, you're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though, and I just wonder to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that so much of the focus of our
what a question.
Campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed.
The groceries thing. Please pay attention to this. Watch what happened. Just like Trump's ears perked up when he said that.
Cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to
He has like a Pavlovian response, and Mamdani like zeroes in on it. It is so obvious.
To New Yorkers what they should care about, as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak.
Don't they already? Russia already has nukes. Yes.
About cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices because
It's like, would the CIA allow that? Probably not. Okay, if you're going to say that the office of the presidency is constrained by the CIA, then what the fuck do you care where the president or head of state is born? Where do you care where they're born? They're going to be constrained by the American CIA if that's your argument.
Gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison, and we're going to have to talk to them. if we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get.
I'm guessing. Yeah, I know. None of what you're saying seems like it's particularly well thought through or anything like that. I feel like you're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. But stick around. Feel free.
To start lowering the rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue the BBC for up to $5 billion. You were going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any
But we're going back. Hold on.
Same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering the rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue the BBC for up to $5 billion. You were going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place.
One day you'll have a gamer president because they can legally enter office if elected. Then your cheat codes will be up for sale. Looking into this.
Start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about he's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week?
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to meet with him, President Zelensky, about your plan? Are you going to meet with him?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the...
Exactly. How will they work together on affordability when Trump doesn't care about that? Okay, there's not actually going to be true collaboration between these two individuals. The best case scenario coming out of this is that Mamdani can stop the worst excesses and impulses of Trump being extended and brought to New York City, because the less political capital he has to expend on wasting his time with forceful opposition to Donald Trump trying to mobilize the National Guard, trying to put ICE agents in there, the more time that he has and political capital that he has to just focus on the domestic agenda within New York City. That, to me, will be, if that ends up being the result of their interaction, then W.
Yeah. A lot of you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely.
Because no matter how forceful Mamdani's opposition to him is, if Trump does those sorts of things, which again could happen regardless of this, could happen, Trump could signal or change on a dime tomorrow. Okay. That is going to be something that is disastrous for Mamdani, because the entire thing, the media narrative will be, oh, this guy said that he was the only one who could take on Donald Trump, that he could take on Trump more than Cuomo. And look at what happened now. He's constantly at odds with the president. He's adversarial. He's weak. He's getting picked on. He's not assertive enough. And if that can be avoided, that would be great.
We have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad. So many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers.
Contrasting himself against Trump also helps with Dem establishment. I don't know.
This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging...
Because, if I had to guess what they talked about behind closed doors that made Trump so amenable to him, is Mamdani saying things that are descriptively true, but then not elaborating, which is that they are both, leaning into the populist framing of their campaign. Okay, and their promises. So he talks about the groceries, affordability, but Mamdani is also, and he would not be lying when he says this, can make better and more grounded in reality criticisms of both establishments, both Republican and Democratic establishments, both of which Donald Trump opposes, as well as the media, because the media does have it, Trump thinks the media has it out for him. Mamdani, the media, there are factions of the media that actually do have it out for Mamdani, and that can be proven over and over. The most notable example being the New York Times saying, we're not going to be endorsing a candidate, but then going out of their way to say that Mamdani is uniquely unqualified or too young to be the mayor of New York City. Okay. Not to mention, again, rags like the fucking New York Post and other outlets publishing racist screeds and tabloids about him because he's Muslim. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if like he is being transparent when he says a lot of it focused on the shared points of agreement and kind of, speaking Trump's language as far as being like, yeah, there's all these people like that are trying to get in the way or whatever. And I sympathize with you on that.
6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on. And I think they're getting reasonably close. But I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including in India, Pakistan. You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was one.
Trump is becoming a lame duck anyway. I think that these people saying that are so premature and say, like, when they say that, we are not even completely at the end of the first year of Trump's term. Just because there's kind of been all of this trouble related to Epstein and some division within the Republican Party, do not think that they cannot pull themselves together to pass the rest of Project 2025, which is already 48% completed. And again, not even a year out.
10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many. And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker. But it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people dead. Really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never.
Trump likes a winner. I think it's that simple. Trump likes a winner. Trump respects somebody who stands on business, and Trump respects somebody who is a New Yorker. So I think they have that shared basis that even with all of their obvious differences, kind of put Mamdani at this at an advantage in these very, very narrow ways.
It happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
Trump has consistently demonstrated he is so much more disturbed when tens of thousands of people die as opposed to millions. And I really do think it comes down to the fact that his mind cannot comprehend numbers in the millions as far as deaths go. But tens of thousands, he can kind of picture that, and it freaks him out because he attributes it to stadiums full of people or something like that. Because there was an interview that he had with Tucker Carlson several years ago where he was very, very distraught and disturbed over the fact that malaria or something had killed tens of thousands of people in a relatively short period of time somewhere globally. But again, this was post-COVID, and he was so unconcerned with COVID.
I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats.
This is what Democrats are off busy doing, by the way. This is the way that they try to get into the good graces of fucking Republicans.
All of House Dem leadership and the minority leader.
Not in any way that's actually gains any substantive or meaningful advantage, just in ways that look completely weak, like total capitulation, and don't do anything to help.
Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions, frankly. I've been focusing...
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump...
Are you actually standing on business right now? This is, again, so shameless when you see this. How is this not radicalizing to people who otherwise kind of have, neutral to maybe slightly negative views of the media, that you see this kind of unprecedented, positive results of these two people meeting, and the media is trying to manufacture controversy so desperately.
A fascist?
I've spoken about...
And neither is taking the bait. And this.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
You can just say yes.
I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its...
Okay. But this, though, hold on. Literally, Trump after being called a BB once.
Dignity. There's been criticism that this deal
He
proposal.
doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of tenuous about
He'll
it.
have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess,
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that
Well, at some
accurate?
point, he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago.
Okay, this is funny. Trump was like, fam, just call me a fascist. Everyone else does. Because he can see it. Because again, nobody respects an ass kisser. And Trump, as a wealthy person and somebody who knows that he drives a cult of personality, cannot respect any of the sycophants he has intentionally surrounded himself with. And this press corps is died on, like, so many of them are like, that person has to be New York Post or Fox News correspondent, potentially Newsmax OAN. Okay. And that sort of, them trying to like insert a wedge where there's clearly no opening to attempt to do that naturally without it looking like really, really forced, really, really contrived is probably just, to me, had the effect of making Trump double down on the sort of loftiness and playful attitude that he had throughout this entire press conference. And hopefully that carries forward.
I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited.
Because Trump doesn't want to be told what to do. And when those people are trying to manufacture or drive a wedge, not only does he see it as like weak, trying to undermine like his big man moves of trying to make a deal and get business done, but he also sees it as like, hey, stay in your lane. I'm the one who calls the shots. I'm the one who decides when I'm mad, how I get mad, who I get mad. And when you're that obvious and transparent about what you're attempting to do, he cannot help but like... It's so obvious that he does not think it's shrewd and he does not respect it whatsoever.
This war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right
The ultimate deal was the one in our hearts all along.
president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, the cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on. Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policies specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the
I
president.
have not betrayed YouTube chat. I'm watching you guys. I just can't have you up on screen because of Twitch TOS.
And those are also part of the message of our campaign was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President?
We had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same.
Like, and Mamdani is not liked by the Dem establishment. So I wonder, like, I have to assume that is something that unintentionally made Trump drop his guard, because he is not somebody who is like a Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg type, deeply entrenched within like the DNC and the Democratic elite. He is still an outsider and still a disruptor.
Ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. It's sort of an old-fashioned word, but the fucking groceries thing. It's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last. I don't think Trump thinks anything like that. Do I think it's like a conscious thing that he's thinking of? No, but it has to have been something. If I could have speculated about what they talked about behind closed doors that Mamdani brought to his attention, and is something that is subconscious within his mind when they're trying to paint Mamdani as in with the Democratic establishment, when we know that's not the case. 4 years under the Biden administration, and we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something in it?
Mr. President, thank you so much.
I think Trump also respects that he quote unquote won against the establishment of his own party, much like he himself did. Yeah, he is like, he has to respect the hustle. He sees himself in him.
Donnie often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law.
It was real estate. Zohran needs houses and Trump is real big on real estate. That's the other thing, is that this is where the fucking, the cherry picking of the abundance agenda actually does come in handy for Mamdani, because a big part of it is deregulatory, and that does mean buying building more housing, which again, what does that mean? Real estate ventures. So that's an easy point of shared agreement that they can have, at least superficially, until you get into the brass tacks of it. That could have been brought up.
Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms it can be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with
No,
U.S.
I don't
law?
know. Would you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with
Like turning to him and being like, you want to finish, babe? You finish telling the story.
the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
We were with ICE. We were with ICE.
We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
Mr. Mamdani,
What we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to...
See, this is what I mean. Just like Mamdani must have said just enough, but not too much, because again, if you go into the details, the fissures will be very, very apparent, and suddenly the like cracks of disagreements would become craters. But superficially, the populist agenda or whatever is completely compatible with what MAGA rhetorically promises on, but never actually delivers on.
And he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction. And he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc.
And this is also less of, like, I don't want to lean too much to analyzing it as a function of Trump's ideology. Like, he has no ideology. It is all personal self-interest that is driving all of this. And Mamdani obviously knows how to be flattering to his ego without castigating himself or making a fool out of himself, just like properly ingratiating himself. But like drawing attention to the fact that like this could be beneficial and will be beneficial to your bottom line.
You know, we actually, people would be shocked. But I want to see the same thing.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel.
Do you see Trump benefiting from this? I mean, in the sense that Trump is like the house he always wins, so he can really do no wrong, especially not with his base and with the way that the party is structured. Party and, you know, right-wing media, you know, they all of them demonstrate just different levels of fealty to him. But I do think that it is going to... There are a lot of people upset about this. You know, like, you'll see it. He literally throws Elisa Stefanik under the bus in favor of Mamdani and completely undermines her. You'll see it. You'll see it. But I do think that it is very hard to see Trump not benefiting from basically everything he does in the end, because he's surrounded by a cult of personality and different brand. Like, again, SCOTUS it's his Supreme Court. It's both houses of Congress, Republicans, and they all fall in line eventually.
Protesters.
Mr. President, I want to know, one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech, you didn't
this is a total fabrication. I never said that.
didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general. And so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our
But to be
city.
clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
Correct.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and
And descriptively, it will disproportionately tax whiter neighborhoods. Do I think you should have used that language? No, because all it does is create moments like this. And I don't think there was any true, tangible, or real benefit to it. But does it personally offend me? No.
equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel.
I wish Mamdani would shut the fuck up. Why? He's like killing it.
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you've threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being said. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree.
And again, Trump never thinks to ask any of the follow-up questions of how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to do that or whatever? Just so easily, taken with just his nominal platform.
How we get there, the rent coming
He says we're going to bring the jobs back. He says that we're going to make New York safe again.
down. I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, we'd like to see him come down ideally by building a lot of additional housing.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want.
Let's see if he actually follows through on this. I sincerely doubt it, but
New York City to be great.
Trump is mega annoying, though. It's hard to listen to him, right? He is tolerable when he is being this flattering to Zohran Mamdani, not gonna lie, and completely just pussy whipped.
I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here.
Did you see Laura Loomer's post on Twitter? She was pissed. LOL. No, can someone link it?
We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor could do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
Just stunning. How would you feel living under the Mamdani regime? I would feel fine.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job.
And it's so good that Trump is the one underscoring this, because they obviously don't agree on so much. But Trump is the one being like, surprisingly, we agree on so much, and it's not Mamdani having to be the one to understand. We agree, right, Trump? Right, Trump? It's Trump totally coming to him.
And we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong.
This is not even true. This is completely overstated.
On not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race,
crazy Bernie,
I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me.
Wait, what?
Agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth.
Oh my God. Even Trump comes out embracing he's probably done it before, but I had completely forgotten that he was like, yeah, they really, treated poor crazy Bernie unfairly. DNC, very disrespectful. Hutch is on a stretcher right now.
Many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for you, but a very quick one for the mayor. Why did you...
It's just a way to dig at Hillary. Ha ha ha. No, for sure. Dig at Hillary and also dig at Biden, because it was very, very clear in 2020 when he was debating Joe Biden that he actually expected that he was going to be debating Bernie, because there were so many different attacks that Trump was launching at him that were trying to frame Joe Biden as a socialist. And Joe Biden at one point literally said, I beat the socialist. Hello, dude. And I really, really think that they thought that Bernie was going to capture the nomination. And that's who they had been prepping him for the entire time. But Trump, being the fucking dullard that he is, couldn't actually remember that or keep that in mind as they were having the conversation.
You fly here. Aren't trains greener?
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that goes.
Well, I know, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. I mean, he's working very hard for him to be. That's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. The plane takes you 30
I'll stick up for you.
minutes, and driving takes you a long time.
Like, Trump tonight is going to be thinking back to this meeting and like kicking his feet in the air.
You could clear
Blushing,
up, some
giggling,
confusion
rolling in the bed.
around a Washington Post report. There was this explosive report that the Coast Guard is no longer going to characterize swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. DHS called that a lie. And
Okay, what is this shit from Loomer? The Democrats will have a landslide in the midterms after today, God willing. Mamdani is the face of the Democrat Party. Again, God willing, I wish. He supports open borders, cashless bail, jihad, anti-white racism at the end of Western civilization. All true. Yep, woke Sharia. How will the GOP campaign ahead of 2026 if Mamdani and his policies are now considered rational and good for New York? That sounds like a you problem, lady. I hope the GOP can codify Trump's agenda over the next year because we are losing the midterms. There's nothing to combat if the policies of the leader of the Democrat Party are rational and comfortable. I mean, she's not wrong about this. So far, this is basically fact check true. Okay, what does the Republican Party have to offer as an alternative if the Democratic Party were to actually genuinely champion Zohran Mamdani's platform? You all know it's true. Don't even try to cope. Is the GOP going to lie in fundraising copy and say his policies are bad when it's now on video that his policies are acceptable? Yeah, 100%. Dems will win in 2028 as well. Inshallah. I will work hard to help codify Trump's agenda over the next year before the Dems work to impeach him and jail him and gridlock his admin post-2026. I like to be realistic. We have 1 year, then it's over. You can only focus on what you can control. I'll focus on the next year before it's all blocked. Yeah, okay, you do that, you fucking psycho bitch. Have fun.
fake news. Can you clear up?
I don't know anything about it. When was this written?
I think yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people I know very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters, beautiful, the most magnificent ship. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them. So I don't know. I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force, and they are.
Mr. Peacemaker, and you did a piece in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli...
Doomer loomer. I mean, a lot of Republicans are thinking this. She's just the only one to actually go and say it out loud and blast it on her main social media platforms. But we were watching the election night. We, like, a couple of streams ago, watched the election night. And I watched Jack Posobiec and, like, the Charlie Kirk goons that have replaced him now that he's dead give their analysis. And they were very frank. They were sober that there was not enough ground game, like that Trump didn't campaign enough. His endorsements weren't enough to like help them secure wins in critical states that they needed to maintain seats or pick up new ones. And they were honest that like, yeah, this was really bad. This was a blowout. Megyn Kelly admitted that, but they all do it like kind of in their own like sequestered. Like Loomer is only different because she's blasting these grievances to like a broader audience. Like they know better than to do that because all of those same people that had scathing criticisms for the Republicans and how they botched the most recent elections would not go on like a mainstream platform and be saying that. And if they did, they would like say it they would concede to it very, very briefly, but then pivot right back to, but Democrats though, but this, but that. So they could get off of not focus on the failures of the Republican Party.
Committing genocide, and I've spoken about...
Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing
Trump's trying to work on peace, dude. Why are you ruining all the fun, bringing up words like genocide?
And I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promises we've made New Yorkers. And I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Do you agree that President Trump did do a peace and he worked hard to make the peace? Because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere. Do you agree with that?
I appreciate.
Does anyone who's not Jewish listen to Laura Loomer? I don't think anybody really listens to Laura Loomer except Donald Trump sometimes, unfortunately, and then everybody's forced to pay attention to her, but nobody is really listening to her or internalizing anything that she has to say. I think she is a massive fucking lol cow and basically a caricature because she is pretty much a fucking neo-Nazi, but loves leaning into the fact that she is Jewish, which only puts her at odds with all of her ideological compatriots. But yeah, bold of you to assume that anyone listens to Laura Loomer, but there is no evidence that Jews in particular are listening to Laura Loomer.
Appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars. And I also believe that we have to follow through on the international human rights, and I know that still today those are being violated, and that continues to be work that has to be done no matter where we're speaking of.
See, and he doesn't put in any disingenuous shit of I know Trump really, really cares about that, trying to flatter his ego or anything like that, because again, that would only undermine Trump's reverence for him in this moment, trying to fucking kiss his feet like that.
Mr. President, question for Mr. Thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think Leader Schumer's and Leader Jeffries, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think
he's like a little boy, man.
At really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction, and I think you really have a chance to make it great.
Mr. President, you say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani does.
Look at that. That's the fucking him doing that with his hands.
A chance to make it great.
Mr. President, you say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves.
Oh my God. I just cannot believe what I am seeing. I legitimately, if you showed me that, I would have thought it was a deep fake video.
Future that is affordable. And I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living.
It's like a coach or something like that. It's like a scene straight out of Friday Night Lights or something where Coach Taylor is at odds with one of the rowdy but nonetheless talented players, and they have this heart to heart, and he's like, go on kid, do your best, give him hell.
And I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more, go ahead, 1 or 2 more, go ahead. I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting that you people have gone crazy. Outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people.
He's seething. This is what I mean. It is so obvious what they were attempting to do, and he sees right through it. Them trying to ask these questions to throw them off kilter, to try to drive a wedge between them when there really was nothing to work with. It was ham-fisted, forceful, and Trump clocked it immediately, and it's just making him double down.
In the world, they come over from countries nobody cares, but they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this than even some foreign leaders?
Because I think he's different. All right, I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way. But I think he's different than your typical guy. Runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting. Because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point. And he
towel snap on it is like a towel snap.
Does need the help of the federal government to really succeed, and we're going to be helping him. But he's different than your average candidate. He came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. What'd you start off at 1 or 2? And then I watched. I said, who is this guy? He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9, then he went up to 17. I said, that's getting a little bit interesting, right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win. It's a great.
Trump's a sucker for an underdog story.
A great tribute. I mean, it's
for an outsider.
Amazing thing that he did.
Succeeding against all odds like he did. Because it reminds him of himself.
I'll just add one thing.
Again, even though Trump is literally a billionaire who is already like an established household name because of The Apprentice, and like I wouldn't say it's because he's a real estate mogul. It's primarily because of the Apprentice. He still nonetheless saw himself as not only an outsider of the Republican establishment, but a true underdog, despite having all of that advantage. And he sees Mamdani. He sees that in Mamdani.
To what the president said is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible work that was done with the New Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
You know, we have a great
and this, like these callbacks to nostalgia or whatever, like just more traps being laid that just, you know, Trump can't help but walk into. Because why wouldn't he respect FDR? FDR was ruled with like an iron fist. Dude was elected 4 times. And I don't mean he was dictatorial in the sense that like you should be conjuring up images of like global despotism or anything like that when you're thinking about FDR. But as far as the amount of sheer power that he commanded at the time that he was in office and the mandate that he had and the numbers that he had in Congress, he probably was the closest to the United States ever having like a dictator, given all of those things. And so obviously on that respect, Trump like just for that reason alone, Trump can respect him because it's like a power grab and the assertion of like power. But on top of it, Trump is also one of these types that like the Democratic Party that he hates is like the last like 20 years or so, because again, he used to be a Democrat for one, but for two, it's like, you know, our JFK Democrat, right? But if you brought attention to if Mamdani praised JFK, Trump would find that favorable. Because they see those politicians as like almost outside, like transcending partisan politics, and they respect them.
Portrait of FDR.
But if Mamdani were to praise like Joe Biden, if he were to praise Obama, if he were to praise a Clinton, he wouldn't like that. But like him praising like FDR, if he were to praise like Teddy Roosevelt, if he were to praise JFK, that's something that Trump can relate to.
That I found in the vaults. That was missing for years. I found it, and I put it up. He's a Democrat, to the best of my knowledge. He's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, "Sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait?" It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture comes out good. But it's an amazing portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The fact that Mamdani like appreciated the decor, I mean, it has like. Please remember that one of the first questions that either this was on Lex Friedman or this was on Joe Rogan. I want to say it was Joe Rogan. He asked Trump, like, what did you like about being the president? And his answer was literally, oh, the bed was big in the White House where Lincoln slept. Can you believe it? I mean, the dude is literally like, all he can think about is his fucking ballroom and picking out like the drapes and colors for all of that. So is anybody that surprised that Trump is like impressed by these sorts of superficial things? So Mamdani, like, again, like remarking upon different like heirlooms within the White House is just like perfect.
You said that you both spoke about crime. There are many police officers set to come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops? Are you going to require that happens? Would there be some consequence if the staff
happens? But again, that's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
What's your answer?
Is that I look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They are the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 headcount. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Are you committing to maintaining the same level of cops?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain the 35,000. That's the headcount that we had through the campaign.
And not replace them with caseworkers, social workers?
No, I've said that's the headcount that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And he just retained a great police commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes, we did. Commissioner Tisch.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
He retained, I think, somebody.
Which is true, because I think Mamdani realizes that, like, one of the first things that he gave up on is like the defund the police thing, but like he pivoted rhetorically. But if you actually look at the underlying policies that he's still championing, he is still trying to enact what is one version that is understood of what is meant by defund the police once you explain it, which is that when we say defund the police, we really mean reallocate funds so that police, like exactly what his plan is effectively. He's putting it into place without using the dirty term defund the police. And I think between his, I didn't think he needed to do, the apology to the NYPD about his like defund the police tweets or whatever, the fact that he kept on Commissioner Tisch, I think he knows that like New York City is not going to be the place where you can really get too much headway with reforming, let alone overhauling the police force. So he's focused on trying to get other aspects of his agenda passed. And do I think he's going to let it fall to the wayside? No, but I think it's like the lowest priority because he knows it would like be an uphill battle the entire time. And he would use all of his political capital on that. And to what end? So retaining the commissioner, even though I don't like it, it's clearly an overture and signaling that he's not going to be adversarial to the NYPD.
She's a good friend of some of the
And you can just fire her if she doesn't play nice. Exactly.
people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
Mr. President, are there still topics that you see the two of you disagreeing on in the future, and do you think you'll have more meetings like this?
There will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately, he'll convince me, or I'll convince him. You know, it's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see if this city could be unbelievable. If he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you guys will meet more in the future too?
Sure.
Do you think you'll meet again in the future? You know, throughout the administration.
I think we will. I think we will. I hope we do.
Will you guys be having another date? Trump's like, yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I enjoyed the meeting. We had a great meeting. Please.
Mr. President, Republican Elisa Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't. But she's out there.
Nope. Fuck you.
Campaigning, and you know, you say things sometimes in a campaign.
Isn't that sort of?
She's a very capable person.
Text me when you get home, Zohran. Zohran's place next time.
But you really have to ask her about that. But I don't particularly. I think
Emily with the jihadist question. Wait, you've said, is that Emily from Breaking Points?
Republican Elisa Stefanik has campaigned multiple times.
Oh my God, that is. How did I not realize this?
Calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't. But she's out there campaigning. And,
oh my God, I cannot. How did I not know that? I should have recognized it.
You know, you say things sometimes.
Yeah, all's fair in love and jihad.
Campaign.
Isn't that sort of?
She's a very capable person.
But this is insane. This is insane. Siding with Mamdani tacitly and throwing Stefanik under the fucking bus, and it is so clear that Elisa Stefanik is completely fucking shameless. She doesn't give a fuck about anti-Semitism. She doesn't give a fuck about Jewish people. This is a woman who has literally promoted the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, but she made her name in mainstream politics, most notably when she helped lead the witch hunt to get rid of all of those professors in the Ivy Leagues due to allegations of anti-Semitism or whatever, when in reality that had far more to do with anti-Zionism, obviously. But she has been really, really outspoken about Mamdani being super rah-rah pro-Israel. And she was even on the short list for Trump's VP picks back before he had chosen Vance. She was not picked. And I thought at the time that it wasn't even unreasonable to think that maybe she was offered the position, but she still wants to have different political offices before she accepts a position like that, because it does kind of sideline you. But seeing her behavior since and seeing more of her, I think that was not the right analysis at the time. I don't think I knew enough, because she is shameless with how much, the lengths she has gone to try to suck up to Trump, ingratiate herself to Trump. And now I think that if she had ever been in serious contention and running for the VP and he had offered it to her, she would have taken it in a fucking heartbeat. And I don't think that she would have refused it for, different political offices first. But to see him turn around and say, well, she can think that, people say crazy things, but I disagree with her, is insane. She has to be fucking seething. After all of that, what does it get you? Nothing. This man has no loyalty to anyone but himself.
But you really have to ask her about that. But I don't particularly. I think I met
Stefanik is still really, really mad that Trump pulled her from the UN ambassador position. 100%.
I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. And I can
Mamdani trying not to smile. Trump can't stop glazing him. A really rational person.
Say again, because New York was great. When I came down to Washington initially, the city was so hot. It was doing great. We were having some telltale signs and problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along. And it went bad. It really went, pretty bad. And I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can.
I would just love to know, God, if only we could be privy to what they actually said to each other during their private meeting. Like, do you think that there was shit talking of like Rudy Giuliani? Like, that would be amazing to learn.
Bring it back. Now the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before? Which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he can, we'll be.
He's just happy to have a New Yorker pretend to like him. Also, that
out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
I will be cheering for him, dude. We have been. This is not an understatement. This is objective fact. More enthusiasm for Mamdani at this point, at this current moment, than Chuck Schumer has ever shown to him. This is insane. Will it last? No, probably not. Don't get your hopes up. Don't think so. But holy fuck, if the media and other MAGA pundits keep pushing Trump to disavow him, to call him a jihadist, and like don't let Trump navigate this on his own terms, oh my God, he will become Mamdani's strongest soldier.
Thank you very much.
I care very deeply about Jewish safety, and I look forward to rooting out anti-Semitism across the 5 boroughs and protecting Jewish New Yorkers and every New Yorker who calls City Hall.
Thank you for asking, moving guys.
Amazing. I hate that they turned the comments off. Let's see. Yeah, the reporters were fully expecting Trump to bash one, like 100%. The meeting was somehow more civil than Trump-Zelensky one earlier this year. That's actually fucking unsurprising. I love the attitude from both of these two. It's so nice to see our politicians try to help our citizens and focus on that. This is obviously, to me, going to be the reaction from the majority of the MAGA base. Because again, they only care about Donald Trump. They take all of their signals and marching orders from Daddy. So if Donald Trump likes Mamdani, they can live with Mamdani as well. If Donald Trump is not scared by the radical jihadist, Marxist, communist, fascist, they have no reason to be either, because to the extent that they have any feelings for Mamdani, it is literally just whatever Trump says about him. So if Trump wants to completely reverse the course and, start endorsing him, they'll be, again, on board with MAGA communism with Mamdani characteristics. They love New York City. It'll be totally fine. They trust Trump, okay? But the MAGA pundits, especially, again, the pro-Israel ones, they are going to lose their minds. Especially, again, the Islamophobic ones, they are going to lose their minds. And it is going to be so annoying. It's going to be so annoying for these people to see that, like, their MAGA pundits are questioning Trump's judgment. Reporter, so are you calling President Trump a fascist? Mamdani begins to explain. Trump cuts Mamdani off and laughs. He can just say yes. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind. That's a respectful way of handling that kind of question. This is the non-DEI cameraman hired by Fox. Okay, they were also not a fan of the camera angles that Fox News filmed this at. Trump's agreement with Mamdani is good for New York. Trump is giving Mamdani the Bubba treatment. This is amazing. This is amazing. Okay. So I want to see broader media reaction though. And that's probably not going to come in till tomorrow. Trump meeting. Has anybody any MAGA pundit given their reaction? Or is this all going to be news reporting? What does the Times have to say about this? Because they can't like this. Just no way. Okay. Trump administration live updates. President heaps praise on Mamdani and New York's future. After months of warning voters against Zohran Mamdani, President Trump said he found common ground with the mayor-elect in an Oval Office meeting. What did they choose to include?
Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great.
Make New York great again.
views out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I change a lot. I think
we all change.
Surprise some conservative
Do
people.
not put the acronym of what I just said in chat, please.
Actually. And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City.
I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Oh my goodness. Goonie, thank you so much for the 20 gifted tier 1 subs to my community. Really, really appreciate it. You're at a total now of 105 gifted subs to my channel. And I hope everybody who now has an ad-free experience as well as access to cute emotes because of Goonie is very, very appreciative of our DEI conservative chatter. Thank you so much again. Big baller in here. So it says, where things stand, Mamdani and Trump, after months of harshly criticizing each other, President Trump and Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect in New York, met face-to-face at the White House and emerged warmly praising one another and stressing their common goals. I feel very confident that he can do a good job, Mr. Trump said. The mutual bond homie... What does this mean? Cheerful friendliness, geniality. Okay. New York Times using the $100 words. Was a striking turn, or maybe I'm just a dumbass and I've never heard this term before. Mutual bond homie was a striking turnabout for both Mr. Trump and Mr. Mamdani, who had traded labels like communist and despot during the mayoral campaign. Read more. Vaccines, RFK Jr., the health secretary. Okay, wait. Yeah, this just updates on this. I want to see this. Trump and Mamdani strike an optimistic tone, sidestepping past critiques. Trump and Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York City, put on a remarkable display of bonhomie, they love this word, in the Oval Office on Friday, with Mr. Trump showering praise on the Democratic Socialists and promising to help them succeed. Just weeks ago, Mr. Trump was warning New York voters that electing Mr. Mamdani would amount to an existential threat to the nation's largest city. And again, don't be surprised if Trump is right back to ringing this bell in just a couple of hours, days, weeks. You never know with him. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, Mr. Trump said, adding, I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great. For his part, Mr. Mamdani, who had vowed on the campaign trail to stand up to the president, called their meeting productive and said he looked forward to working with Mr. Trump to improve life in New York. Mr. Trump and Mr. Mamdani, who had lobbed labels like communist and despot at each other during a mayoral campaign filled with vitriol, nodded approvingly as each spoke and struck an optimistic tone with reporters, but they also sidestepped questions that might have highlighted their most polarizing positions. What I really appreciate about the president is the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers, Mr. Mamdani said. For Mr. Trump, the public rapprochement was an opportunity to align himself with a young, charismatic politician who has tapped into many of the same economic concerns that have animated the president's base. Okay, they are giving way too much credit to Donald Trump here. I don't think that he ever thinks in this sort of way, like, oh, it would be advantageous for me to align myself with this person so I can be perceived as like young or whatever, because again, he's a personality cult. He calls the shots, he can do and say whatever he fucking wants, and they will follow along with it dutifully. His entire base, the entire MAGA establishment. So the idea that he's doing this kind of like 5D chess, I don't think is borne out. But there is literally no downside to Donald Trump being adversarial. There's nothing that Donald Trump loves more than beating up on Democrats. All you have to do, look no further than any time he is publicly in like any of the debates that he's had with Democrats, anytime he's been face to face with Democrats that he's been outspoken about disliking, he fucking roasts them to their face. So, this opportunity to align himself with a young, charismatic politician, there was no evidence that he was looking to do that. It also comes after Democrats seized on the issue of affordability, which and again, like, where's the data that shows that, like, not that any of this is based on empirics, of course, that MAGA had, like, an affinity for Zohran Mamdani. If anything, they were inflaming some of the worst aspects and impulses of the MAGA base, because you were seeing anti-Muslim and Islamophobic attacks being launched at Mamdani, and nobody's saying anything. If anything, they were feeding it. Republican establishment obviously were feeding into that. So were Dems. It also comes after Dems seized on the opportunity on the issue of affordability, which powered them to electoral victories this month. Yeah, I know, but they were like reheating Zohran's nachos when they did that. Mr. Trump and his allies have sought to frame the GOP as the party addressing high costs. For Mr. Mamdani, the high-stakes trip to the White House, which has bedeviled multiple foreign leaders, could be hugely consequential for the nation's largest city, as could his relationship with the president in the coming months. Many New Yorkers have worried that Mr. Trump would send the National Guard into the city shortly after Mr. Mamdani takes office on January 1st. And again, hopefully this positive meeting bears fruits, and the fruits are that he does not do that. After Mr. Mamdani takes office on January 1st, or that the president would try to punish the city in other ways, Mr. Mamdani seemed to have diffused that threat for now. The better he does, the happier I am, Mr. Trump said on Friday. The two leaders met for roughly 45 minutes. Mr. Mamdani also received a tour of the West Wing. It included a visit to the cabinet room, where he and Mr. Trump posed in front of a portrait of FDR and the newly installed Presidential Walk of Fame, which is so fucking tacky, on the West Colonnade. Do they have photos of it? Like this. This is what they're talking about. In September, Mr. Trump unveiled the Presidential Walk of Fame on the West Colonnade, which is the main walkway between the White House's executive residence and the West Wing. The exhibit displays every president's portrait in chronological order, framed in gold with additional gold onlays above the portraits, which I saw somebody, maybe I didn't confirm if this is true, but these were, you could literally buy these from Home Depot. But in place of former President Joseph R. Biden Jr.'s portrait is a photo of an auto pen signing his name, which is so tacky. Reference to the claims Mr. Trump has made without giving evidence that Mr. Biden's cognitive state impaired him from signing documents and granting pardons. Presidents and other politicians have used devices like the auto pen for decades, and Mr. Biden has said he made the clemency decisions that were signed with an auto pen. When is the movie? It's at like 10 something. I don't know. I have to leave at like 8:40. I have like an hour. So let's see. Aides to the president said Mr. Trump was committed to having a successful meeting with Mr. Mamdani. Yeah, but they always say that, so that doesn't give you any particular like unique insight into what this was going to be like. Speaking approvingly of him in private over the past 2 days, according to people who spoke with him, the president took steps to ensure the meeting was successful. Unlike his sessions with foreign leaders, some of which have turned contentious, Mr. Trump did not invite the media into the Oval Office until after the meeting concluded. Thank fuck. Because neither of them would have been able to say what they could have said when they're not having to worry about the fucking peanut gallery and the way all of this is going to be like the way that sort of meeting would be viewed and picked apart by the media. Earlier on Friday, he praised Mr. Mamdani during an interview with Fox News Radio. Mr. Mamdani's allies on the left were cautiously optimistic about the meeting, hoping that he might have prevented some attacks on the city. Mr. Trump's Republican allies were less positive. And this is, again, going to be the gift that keeps on giving. Just absolutely fucking delicious watching the MAGA cope over this. I, for one, am the most excited, obviously, for PBD's reaction. Some of them said they disagreed with the president's approach and wished he had been more confrontational about Mr. Mamdani's criticism of Israel. Yeah, get fucked, okay? He clearly does not give a fuck about any of your ideological priors. He just gives a fuck about himself. And this is one of those instances where that is good for all involved. Catherine S. Wild, the leader of a prominent business group in New York, who is warm to Mr. Mamdani despite his calls to tax the rich, called the meeting a success. And like on this, I can't help but think about people like not that I think that there were too many of these, but the Dems that were so pro-Israel back in 2024 that they actually defected from the Democratic Party and switched over to Trump because he's better on, Israel, he's better on terrorism. They have to be fucking dying inside that the guy that you elected over a Democrat who you didn't think was going to be pro-Israel enough is turning around and cozying up to the radical Marxist, jihadist, communist Zohran Mamdani, who has said that Israel is committing a genocide and that he'd arrest Bibi Netanyahu if he steps foot in New York City. Did you see him and AOC say that Jeffries should not get primaried by the city council member? Yeah, I did. I might look into that after this. Catherine S. Wild, the leader of a prominent business group in New York, who has warned to Mr. Mamdani despite his calls to tax the rich, called the meeting a success. Nothing could be more promising for our city's next few years than the leadership skills and discipline that our young mayor-elect demonstrated by coming out of this meeting with what appears to have been a positive exchange with the president, she said. Mr. Mamdani, who was born in Uganda and moved to New York City as a boy, 7 years old to be exact, has been a forceful critic of Mr. Trump's immigration policies. In March, Mr. Mamdani confronted Tom Homan, Mr. Trump's border czar, in a video that went viral, shouting at him while being held back by state troopers. This was based, obviously. Mr. Mamdani told reporters on Friday that he had expressed concerns to Mr. Trump about immigration raids, including a recent one involving a mother and her children. El Biscard Church, Mr. Mamdani's closest advisor, said on New York One as she left the White House that we were very heartened by the meeting and having an opportunity to discuss the city's affordability crisis. At the same time, she said they were clear about our disagreements in the room, including expressing concerns about immigration raids. Though his public posture was quite a change for the president, Mr. Trump has privately complimented Mr. Mamdani in recent weeks. Still, the president's genial tone was an especially stark contrast with Mr. Trump's comments on Thursday when he attacked a group of Democratic lawmakers and said their behavior was punishable by death. Yeah, but not Mamdani. We agree on a lot more than I would have thought, Mr. Trump said about Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Trump also praised Mr. Mamdani's campaign after endorsing his opponent and marveled at the immense media interest in their meeting. Mr. Trump's warmth towards Mr. Mamdani, however, could be short-lived. 100%. Understatement of the fucking year. Especially if attacking Mr. Mamdani proves to be politically useful for the president and his party, which it obviously is. But again, I really do think that it's going to be MAGA that pushes him to not drop this loving embrace and posture that he's taken towards Mamdani, because again, the more that he is pressured to disavow, to distance himself, to say, be careful of Zohran Mamdani, the more he's going to want to do the opposite. He notably disagreed with comments by one of his allies, Representative Elisa Stefanik, Republican of New York, who is running for governor. When asked about her description of Mr. Mamdani as a jihadist, the president said he did not agree with Ms. Stefanik's assessment. So good. I met with a man who's a very rational person, he said. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. After the meeting, Ms. Stefanik posted on social media that she would have to agree to disagree on this one without naming Mr. Trump. Tail between her fucking legs. Pathetic. Absolutely fucking owned. Instantly. Completely undermined by Donald Trump by saying, with just that one comment. He's a jihadist, she wrote about Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Trump's posture towards Mr. Mamdani also reflects his continued obsession with New York City, where he was born and raised and has multiple real estate holdings. I always said, one of the things I would have loved to be someday is the mayor of New York City, Mr. Trump said. At multiple points during the meeting, Mr. Trump jumped in to defend Mr. Mamdani from pointed questions from reporters. And again, I know we literally just watched all of this, but I just want to see what the media had to say, and if it's, again, their characterization of it is in line with the glaze fest that I just saw. The president patted Mr. Mamdani on the arm when he was asked by a reporter if Mr. Trump was a fascist. Mr. Mamdani smiled awkwardly, and the president advised him to just say yes. I don't even know if that's true that he's... I couldn't even focus on what Mamdani did. He, cut him off. My little communist. Aaron, I think you're missing the other side of this. How will the left react? Mamdani definitely wasn't the same confrontational person on the night he won. You don't think his base will be upset he wasn't more combative? No, I mentioned this at the beginning of this. I think if anybody's going to be upset, I do think it's going to be liberals, because liberals are, I think, the ones more interested at different points. Not always. But sometimes don't understand the value of knowing when to do the more performative posture and the saber rattling versus when you should not. And I didn't see this as in this is unironically true West Wing shit. The meeting between Mamdani and Trump and how it went. That's what liberals and a lot of the Dem establishment, I feel think they're doing when they try to ingratiate themselves with Republicans. And by ingratiate, I mean rolling over, showing their entire belly, conceding everything, and trying to appease them. It gets you nowhere. It gets you no respect. It pisses off your base. And it doesn't bring you any closer to any true points of political agreement. And nothing productive comes out of it except undermining your own stances and platforms. But Mamdani stood on business. Don't mistake a civil tone and being able to maintain decorum with Mamdani betraying his principles or going to change his mind or attitude about Donald Trump anytime soon. Because Mamdani would lose credibility if he did that. And he has the mandate to be forceful. There was never at any point where he retracted a criticism that he made of Trump or that he signaled that he was going to go easier on him. All of it came, he was, practically stoic. And Trump was the one that was giddy and gleeful and glazing. And Mamdani got Trump to come to him, not vice versa. Which is why, again, to the extent that you see anybody mad about this, it'll be libs being but you're supposed to, you need to be more forceful to Trump, even if that is totally performative and gets you nowhere. Mamdani can read the room. And this gives me hope because, again, it was Trump being led around by Mamdani, not vice versa. And these sorts of empty performative virtue signal gestures, I feel like some Democrats want Mamdani to have engaged in, would paradoxically work against his own stated goals and their own goals. When a reporter pointed out that Mr. Mamdani called the president a despot, Mr. Trump interrupted, I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. And when a reporter pressed Mr. Mamdani on why he flew to Washington instead of taking Amtrak, a more environmentally friendly option, Mr. Trump said, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. He added, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. Chef's kiss. Some people are saying they had Trump on sedatives after the most recent crash out. LOL. That sounds like cope. I don't think that's what this was. All right, what you got for me? Oh my God. Trump on Truth Social. It was a great honor meeting Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York City. Look at this. Like, Mamdani is not doing his usual cheesing, smiling. He's not doing the thumbs up. That's Trump. It was a great honor meeting Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York. This is crazy. It's crazy. All that bootlicking from Cuomo for absolutely nothing. Yeah, exactly. Interesting he shared the pics in front of the portrait of FDR. It seems like those are the only photos that they took. Interesting that you say liberals would be upset in that way. My impression is that leftists more often feel that way, that you can never be diplomatic strategically with bad people in power. I'm not saying that there's not going to be some leftists that are upset by this or the way that he treated or think that this is some sort of betrayal or whatever. But those leftists are loud and online. And typically when you look at their idea of what constitutes good electoral strategy, it's to say they don't have one whatsoever. And they have never truly endorsed or supported a candidate at any point. But liberals, unlike those leftists or whatever, are not hostile to electoralism. And you can find examples of them being rah about a deeply flawed candidate, but that they nonetheless support. To the extent that you see anybody giving on the left again, giving Mamdani shit for this, they are the types that they purity test a lot. Everyone, and it's not just Mamdani, and it has been over far more frivolous things. What was the most surprising take from all this in your eyes? What would be the effective lessons to take from this exchange for others to use? The thing is that I don't know that anybody else is capable of this, because Mamdani has what a lot of politicians want but lack: world-class charisma. That is not really something that's something that you can try to refine and improve on, but it's one of those either you have it or you don't type things, could you imagine Gavin Newsom trying to be as suave or diplomatic in a productive way as Zohran Mamdani? No, I don't think he can, and I honestly don't even think that he should try. I think Newsom knows his strengths and he should play to them, and being forceful and not having to be in the same room as Donald Trump is the best thing for him. That is the most effective and best way that he can oppose Donald Trump, because Gavin Newsom is the type of lib and dem. And if you need any proof of this, again, look no further than his podcast episode with the late Charlie Kirk, where he just totally rolled over and capitulated to all of Kirk's framing. He didn't challenge him on anything, and he was just trying to suck up to him, and it was absolutely pathetic. And that's his idea of trying to come off as civil and respectable and presentable to a Republican or to someone in the MAGA movement. And it just doesn't pan out the way that you think it is. You just end up looking completely cucked. I think, but as far as the most important lesson though, should Democrats try to emulate this or whatever? I mean, if it can be pulled off, sure. But the more important lesson is that they should see that people will respond positively to what just happened. And that's a good thing. And that they don't need to be so fucking scared of Mamdani. You know, they should feel fucking ashamed to the extent that, like, again, Trump probably just objectively at this point, you do have to balance the scales with all of the negative shit that Donald Trump has said about Zohran Mamdani that can't be ignored, that doesn't get, you know, wiped off the slate just because of this one interaction. I'm certainly not going to forget any of those comments, and he is sure to make them in the future and stake my life on it. But to date, he has said now some things that are more positive of Zohran Mamdani than some Democrats ever offered to him or were interested in offering to him. And that should be an indictment of all those Democrats who, again, like, if even Donald Trump is able to extend a positive word to Zohran Mamdani, but you cannot, that should be a point of reflection for those people. Feels like a chaos grenade. We shall see. Yep. Is there any mainstream Dem with a lot of charisma? I honestly don't think so. LMAO. I don't know. I mean, like, Obama was that person for a while. But it has to be somebody like those candidates are like really, really rare. And I'm really hesitant to say AOC, obviously, because AOC is very, very polarizing. And so people should not kind of overweight or overstate the extent to which, like, the people that like her, like, can dwarf or eclipse the people that hate her, because she also has a lot of negative reactions, attention thrown away constantly. Bernie has Old Man Riz. Bernie does, but the thing is, they asked Democrats, and Bernie's technically an independent, even if he does everything with Democrats, so I didn't want to say him. Have AOC and Trump ever met face-to-face? Nope. Okay. I do want to see, okay. Where is this? Oh, no, I closed it. Okay, if I do this. I want to see, like, what did does Fox have their reaction for what they'd said after it? And I mean mainstream Fox News. I want to see, like, analysis and reactions. Like this. Okay.
Crisis with
Kyle should run.
Poverty.
Yeah,
and
we're
the
waiting
meeting
on
came
Kyle.
back again and again to what.
Dude, I cannot believe I did not realize that this is Emily from Breaking Points. Holy shit. It's insane. Give me a second. But, okay, on that. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not following me, please go ahead and do so. That way you can know when I go live. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed to me, please hit the subscribe button and the bell. That way you can know when I go live on YouTube. Please like the stream as well. It helps push it out to other people. Really good for the algorithm. If you want to watch any of my past VODs, they are timestamped and housed in my YouTube channel. If you want to support me, you can follow the donation links pinned to my Twitch chat or YouTube description box. You can also support me on Twitch directly by subscribing to me or gifting subs throughout the chat or using your Amazon Prime to sub. That way you can have an ad-free experience as well as access to cute emotes. I'm at straighted_ on everything. Are we watching Kyle? Did Kyle do something interesting? I was going to put on this, like, debate that Ryan Grimm apparently had with, oh, wait. Or maybe we look into, like, why Mamdani is not supporting it. What did Kyle do? Why he's not supporting that, Oh, wait. Okay, I want to see a little bit of this.
What's up, y'all? Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day.
This is breaking Trump cucks to Zohran.
Have some incredible breaking news
Kirglo, thank you so much for subscribing at Tier 1.
for you. And I actually have quite a bit of it, if I'm being honest. So, right off...
Am I still streaming with Pisco? Not right now. Just Press Play is on the OG, with the OG co-host, is on hiatus right now. Pisco is really committed to a lot of stuff offline and was not going to be able to commit to the regular schedule that we had for the show, which was like once a week on Tuesdays at a consistent time slot. So I was like, hey, no worries. Let's just do a fucking hiatus for a little bit. And Ogre Boy is currently my co-anchor on that. But maybe one day, I don't know when, I imagine we'll collab again and do more episodes.
Off the bat, good googly moogly, what the hell did I just watch? That's all I have to say. What was that? I got to be honest, I have mixed feelings about it. I sort of want to take a shower after watching that. I don't know how you guys feel, but that was weird. That was weird. So it is 100% without a doubt the case that Trump and Zohran just met, and Trump officially cucked himself to Zohran in front of the world. In front of the world. I mean, you had, oh my God, the clips that are coming out of this thing are hard to watch. So I don't know how Zohran did it. He charmed the shit out of Trump. And Trump, in the most humiliating fashion possible, played second fiddle, let Zohran take the lead. Trump kept making himself look worse and worse while making Zohran look better and better, and Zohran didn't give an inch on any of the things that he said about Trump over the years. So just to give a couple of examples, Emily Jashinsky of Breaking Points asked Trump if Zohran is a jihadist because the Republican running for governor, Elisa Stefanik, called Zohran a jihadist. And Trump basically...
Kyle Straight, I'm kind of confused. Yes. He is. He's married to Crystal Ball.
He laughed and he said, no, he's not a jihadist, this guy. He's not a jihadist.
But in the words of Cenk Uygur, with the between the earring and the tan and the white hair, he looks like a gay Eminem. Cenk's words, not mine, so common mistake.
And then he said, when you're campaigning, you say things sometimes. You say things. Basically admitting, oh yeah, I'm totally full of shit when I'm on the campaign trail. Every Republican is completely full of shit when they're on the campaign trail.
He's just 2000s coded. Yeah, he's metrosexual.
We don't actually mean what we say. We don't mean it when we call you communist. We don't mean it when we call you socialist. We don't mean it when we call you terrorist and jihadist. Duh. We're just doing politics. That's all. Oh my God, it was so brilliant. Oh my God, I want to bathe in that. Because they're just admitting we're right about everything casually without even realizing it. Another hilarious part, Trump was asked about Zohran calling him a fascist. And basically Trump was like, it's fine. It's okay. You can just say it. It's no problem. I was watching this what is going on here? Trump was also asked about being called a despot, however you say it, by Zohran. And he said, I've been called worse than that. It's nothing. I've been called worse. Okay. Meanwhile, Zohran's standing there if you're just going to keep giving me W after W after W, I'll take it. Of course, I'll just sit here and fucking take it. No problem whatsoever. So that was super duper weird. My guess is, here's how it went down. Here was the dynamic, in my opinion. This is my guess. So Zohran reached out to Trump and said, I'd like to meet with you. And Trump, I think, was kind of flattered by that. And then he shows up to the White House. And from what I could tell, I really think that behind the scenes, he was as much of a politician as he is in front of the scenes. And sorry for your background noise. I think the neighbor's sawing or something. But so I think behind the scenes, he was like, look, I care about affordability. I care about New York City. I want to lower the prices. If you want to help me lower the prices, I'm more than happy to have you help me do that. If you do something good, I'll give you credit. We can work together. We can figure this thing out. And, here are my ideas. I want to build more housing as well. I'm laser focused on affordability. And just basically was the same guy behind the scenes that he is in front of the scenes, in front of the cameras. And I think that just charmed the shit out of Trump.
And I think this is also why Trump doesn't have the same animosity that he has towards for Bernie that he has towards Hillary, Kamala Harris, Biden, etc. And it's because I think Bernie largely is consistent and the same. And I think that Kyle's probably 100% right that Mamdani, to the extent that again, he's keeping an act up or maintaining decorum, even behind closed doors, kept that up.
And the other thing about Trump, as we all know, he's a sucker for a winner. And he's a sucker for a good-looking guy. How many times do we look at this guy, this big, strong, beautiful man, straight out of Central Casting? Look at this. I'll kiss all of you. Even the men, I'll kiss all of you. These are all things that Trump has literally said. So I think Trump's a bit of a star fucker. I think he's a bit of a sucker for a good-looking guy. I think he's a bit of a sucker for a winner. I think Zohran went in there basically with the mindset of, I'm just going to talk to him about affordability. I'm just going to be direct, talk about affordability.
I mean, is he wrong?
Talk about trying to make New York better. I think Trump was also tickled by the fact that Zohran did these videos, these on-the-street videos when his campaign started, where he interviewed New Yorkers who voted for Trump and asked them why they voted for Trump. And they would say things like, oh, we think he's going to end the wars. We hope he ends the wars. And we think he's going to lower prices. We hope he lowers prices. And so Zohran, expressed this to Trump, and Trump felt like, oh, really? You did that? You talked about...
Really, Trev, thank you so much for the $5, Splank. I really, really appreciate it.
Me? I love it when people talk about me. And ultimately, I mean, it was, at the end of the day, it was humiliating for Trump. It absolutely was humiliating for Trump because, like I said, he kept bending the knee. He kept cucking himself. He kept giving more and more to Zohran. I think he's going to do a great job. He can be very special. This one, he can be very special. Basically undercutting every Republican argument against this guy that has ever been done. And meanwhile, Zohran didn't have to give an inch. Zohran was just standing there like, thank you. And then whenever he was asked a tough question, Zohran went into politician mode and fucking was able to split the difference, swat it aside, move on to whatever he wanted to talk about, which is affordability every single time. So, man, was that bizarre to watch. The only reason I say it made me feel uncomfortable is because I'm not used to seeing a Democrat in a position.
Trump has talked about men's cocks on more than one occasion during speeches, like Arnold Palmer.
Like that, you know, like, I gotta be honest, if I was Zohran, I wouldn't have even fucking done that meeting. And if you watch Crystal Kyle.
What the hell is this? Is this Trump 5 minutes after a meeting with Mamdani?
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Okay. Yes, basically, literally. Dude, the memes from this are just so good. Hi, Mason, with the copyrighted music.
Island friends this week. We talked about it before the meeting happened, and I said the same thing. I was like,
and that quote, like, when he said that, he was quoting Ilhan Omar, by the way.
What the fuck are you doing? Don't even bother doing this. So I wouldn't have taken the meeting, but clearly he had a little something up his sleeve that was more impressive than what I had thought. But the other thing is, remember, guys, this is not going to last. There is no way this is going to... Trump at some point is going to turn on Zohran because Zohran's going to have to tell the truth about some bullshit Trump's doing. So it won't last, but for the moment, it was a massive, massive win for Zohran. Trump even entertained the question that maybe Zohran is the future of the Democratic Party, even though he, literally cannot run for president because he was born in Uganda.
Yeah.
But very weird press conference. I highly recommend you go watch the whole thing. My favorite part is that you'd have these right-wing journalists.
I think this meeting was also good for Trump. Well, it's like Trump can do no wrong in the eyes of the majority of his base, so it can never really go too badly because they defend so much of what he does.
Who were basically trying.
It'll just be the pundit class that is mad at him. The MAGA base, even though MAGA is a Zionist movement, a pro-Zionist movement, pro-Israel movement, they don't have ideological commitments to those underpinnings. That is just completely arbitrary, and they only have allegiance to Trump. So they are completely happy to follow him wherever he goes.
Undermine Zohran and try to make Zohran look like an asshole. And they were like, Jack Posobiec was in the White House, which is fucking disgraceful. You need to wash that bitch down with Clorox now that he was even in there. But Jack Posobiec was asking, what did he ask him? He said something like, Mr. Mamdani, you said you want to raise taxes, but only on white people. And is that still your policy? He asked some dumb shit like that. Zohran was like, I never said that. And that's not what I believe. I believe we should raise taxes on the rich, and the rich happen to be disproportionately white neighborhoods, but that's the policy. You know that policy, the polls are like 60% fucking favorability, 70% favorability? That's what I want to do. And Jack Posobiec's trying to play gotcha. A lot of them tried to play gotcha, and it just didn't fucking work. Number one, because Zohran was easily able to jujitsu that bitch out the room. And then number two, because Trump was there to back up Zohran every time and be like, this guy really is great, isn't he? He really is something special. Handsome man. He's a very handsome man. Definitely not a jihadist. I think he's going to make New York City great again. It was incredible. It was wild to watch. Okay. So got a lot of other stuff to talk to you guys.
Okay. So, and on Elisa Stefanik and like her opposition to Mamdani, this was October 17th this year. Representative Elisa Stefanik brands Zohran Mamdani a jihadist in a statement to New York Times, a hack. So again, she is a Republican from New York. Branded mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani a jihadist and a raging anti-Semite in a statement she addressed to a New York Times quote unquote hack. Stefanik released her statement on Mamdani following Thursday's New York City mayoral debate between Mamdani, Cuomo, and Curtis Lewa. She addressed it to Emma G. Fitzsimmons from The Times after she said she was contacted for comment on a story. Stefanik wrote, I call Zohran Mamdani a jihadist because he is. Zohran Mamdani is a raging anti-Semite. Mamdani is the definition of a jihadist as he supports Hamas terrorists, which he did as recently as yesterday when he refused to call for Hamas terrorists to put down their arms. Okay, so that means you love Hamas. The same Hamas terrorist group that slaughtered civilians, including New Yorkers, on October 7, 2023. The Congresswoman is referring to Mamdani failing to directly say that Hamas should disarm in a Fox News interview earlier this week amid a ceasefire agreement with Israel. I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we need to ensure that there is peace and that is the future that we fight for. Mamdani told Fox's Martha McCallum. But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza, she pushed. I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about, Mamdani said. Stefanik claimed Mamdani, a self-described democratic socialist, is a communist sent to destroy New York City. Hi at New York Times, hack at Emma, what's her name? You asked us for a comment at 5:28 p.m. for a lengthy story you published at 5:43 p.m. Epitome of New York Times hackdom. Here's my statement in full, and that's when she said that. It's why the New York State Democrat Party chair refuses to support him, she wrote. It's why multiple Democrat members of Congress refuse to support him. It's why Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have still not endorsed him, because Zohran is a jihadist who will destroy New York. Okay, so if you make statements like this, and you ever anywhere else have said, oh, the Democratic Party is full of anti-Semites and they hate Israel, all of that's undercut by what you just said, because that is you acknowledging that he was not embraced by the Democratic establishment, and major Democrats either waited till the last second, like Hakeem Jeffries, to endorse him, and it was not a ringing endorsement, it was a begrudging one, or they didn't do it at all. I would stake my life on the fact that Chuck Schumer probably voted for Andrew Cuomo over Mamdani, not Curtis Lewa. So obviously, do I conflate, criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism? No. So I'm not saying that the Zohran Mamdani is an anti-Semite and the Democratic Party distancing themselves from him means that they are, not anti-Semitic on that basis. It's just like you have no room to stand on because these people constantly conflate the two. And then what's this? This is from her own website. September 16th of this year. Stefanik leads bill to prohibit Zohran Mamdani's plan to arrest PM Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to NYC. Like, dude, how is this? This is like this sort of shit. It's just like, to me, rage bait. Just anti-Semitism, like superchargers. Why are you doing this in this moment? Read the fucking room. Like, you are actively endangering Jewish New Yorkers by prioritizing this shit and doing all the Israel simping. It is so cringe. Today, House Republican Leadership Chairwoman Elisa Stefanik introduced the Sovereign Enforcement Integrity Act to prohibit New York State Representative Zohran Mamdani's repeated statements of intent to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu if he comes to New York City. The objective of this bill is to preempt state and local law enforcement from executing, honoring, or enforcing any request, warrant, or indictment issued by the International Criminal Court, or ICC, unless expressly authorized by federal law. Because again, we're not signatories to the Rome Statute, so we don't recognize the authority of the ICC. Anti-Semite communist Zohran Mamdani pledged to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu if he came to New York City. The United States is not part of the ICC, and they're anti-Semitic states, said Chairwoman Stefanik. That is why I introduced the Sovereign Enforcement Integrity Act to protect American sovereignty and prohibit radicals like Mamdani from illegally arresting the leader of our democratic ally, Israel. Background: the ICC issued a warrant for Netanyahu's arrest in November 2024. Mamdani, and we don't recognize the ICC. She's not wrong. Could you ever see her making a statement about this or doing any of this virtue signal performative empty bullshit with Putin? There's also an arrest warrant out for Putin. But if Putin were arrested on these grounds using universal jurisdiction as it pertains to the ICC, she would be the first one to praise it. She would be clapping. It's completely inconsistent. Mamdani said on September 12th that he would arrest Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu if he came to New York City based on the authority of the ICC, an international organization that the United States is not part of. Given that the United States is not party to the Rome Statute, allowing ICC rulings to impact domestic policy conflicts with the United States justice system. Given candidate Zohran Mamdani's virulent anti-Semitism, support for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions, or BDS movement, refusal to condemn anti-Semitic statements such as globalize the Intifada, and insistence on arresting Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu if he were to travel to New York City. This legislation states that Congress finds the following. 1, the United States is not a party to the, we're not going to arrest Putin. No, but if it were to happen, she would cheer it on. Or if somewhere in the United States that were to happen, which it wouldn't, she would cheer it on. She would be fine with it. All Republicans, they would be fine with it. I think the overwhelming majority of Republicans and Democrats would be fine with it, even though we don't recognize the ICC. The United States is not party to the Rome Statute establishing the ICC. 2, the U.S. Constitution provides the federal government with exclusive authority over foreign relations and the treatment of foreign nationals within the territory of the U.S. 3, the arrest or detention of foreign nationals on U.S. soil pursuant to an ICC request or indictment absent federal authorization could jeopardize the foreign policy interests of the U.S. and conflict with longstanding constitutional principles. 4, law enforcement activities implicating international law enforcement obligations must be governed by uniform national standards. Oh my God. Oy, oy, oy. I find this woman to be so uncharismatic. It's crazy. You guys like this puppy? I kept seeing comments about the puppy, and I was like, what are they talking about? I thought maybe my dog had gotten into the room, and then I realized it was literally just about, it was about this. Okay. I want to see, okay, so on this Mamdani not wanting to challenge Hakeem Jeffries. I have ad block, the grotesque AI puppy. I know it's AI, you guys. Mamdani is privately telling Hakeem Jeffries' primary challenger not to run against him, per New York Times. This had not been confirmed yet. This was November 10th, so like over 11 days ago. This is what they reported. Mr. Mamdani has privately tried to discourage his ideological ally from running. The mayor-elect and his team fear that another high-profile challenge from the left might compromise his own bid to push the Democratic establishment to support his affordability agenda. Mr. Mamdani also may want to avoid the optics of having Mr. Ossé challenge the House Democratic leader who endorsed Mr. Mamdani in October after months of negotiation. The disagreement caused Mr. Ossé to be disinvited from Mr. Mamdani's election night watch party, according to two people familiar with the matter, even though he has been a frequent presence at Mr. Mamdani's campaign events. Instead, Mr. Ossé said he spent the night with my constituents at DSA events celebrating Zohran's incredible win. And, what am I being linked? What is this? No way. Oh my God. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning? Okay, this is breaking news. Hold on. Marjorie Taylor Greene announces she is resigning on January 5th, 2026. My message to Georgia's 14th district in America, thank you. Okay, let's take a look. This is a 10-minute statement from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the
Marjorie, blink. Blink if you are not being held at gunpoint right now, if you're saying this completely of your own free will and volition.
Common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned...
Is this so she can run for something? I have a feeling, because I do not think that this woman is done. I mean, short of like being literally threatened by Donald Trump or somebody, I can't see why she would resign this post, but I don't know.
Tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest, and the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are
There's still time for her to name names or, you know, say fuck you to people on the way out, because again, this is like an 11-minute statement, and so far this is nothing new. She's kind of going, just like summarizing things that have happened in the last few weeks that have led to this decision.
During campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass the plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census count.
I think she has the most small dollar donations of any federal elected official. It's crazy that she would do this. She does take corporate money. She's not like sworn off corporate PACs or anything like that, but my understanding is that is true. But that means that anytime she wants to reboot a political career, if she doesn't launch a Senate bid off of this right away, or maybe even like a gubernatorial race, even though I think that would be a really, really big long shot for her, especially given that she's putting herself at odds with MAGA. And like now, again, there's going to have to be like a special election. Who knows who could fill this seat? Hopefully it's not somebody more crazy than her. Again, this is a district that elected a QAnoner. But anytime she wants to jump back into the political arena, she would have the financial backing to do so, even if she doesn't have it directly within her own state because of that figure with about the small dollar donations.
Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas. Just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media, obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement.
All this, like, again, working class talk, leaning into the economic populist rhetoric. Another part of me wonders if she realizes that she's kind of exhausted the momentum that she could maintain while also keeping this posture. And she is leaving, again, to put herself into a better position for a Senate race or a gubernatorial race, something like that. Because when you lean into this, but your votes don't align with it, that is obviously going to be used in an attack ad. And I think regardless, even if she didn't realize that she didn't intend to like carry out this term, she has to kind of maintain the credibility that she has. And again, saying all of this stuff and then not delivering on it, not voting for bills that could fulfill this, not being opposition, and then like putting herself in the position of not going along with Trump's agenda would sully her reputation among Republicans. So now if she resigns, she can do it like on principle, keep her hands clean, leave on this note, and then when she gets into office, she will obviously govern exactly like every other fucking Republican.
The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent
like bragging about DOJ accomplishments.
Millions of my own money. I missed precious time.
Exactly. All this may just be blah, blah, blah. It's simply something she needs to say to move on to the next step. Yeah, and I think that she realizes that like she continuing to stay in this role would like again, she's leaving on a high note. It would only put her in a more precarious position to be this at odds with the rest of MAGA and Donald Trump himself, as he's literally calling her a traitor, and calling, again, for the death of his political enemies, because he was also calling the Democrats that he was saying should be fucking hung or whatever. He was also calling them traitorous. She can't, I don't know that what she's trying to do, she could maintain that.
With my family that I
without either, caving to one side or the other.
Never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side.
Bragging about defunding PBS. Did you guys forget that she is a Republican? That she don't be fooled. She is a ghoul.
As my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C.
And she is not even avowed herself as like an anti-Trump Republican. She continued to defend Donald Trump even as he was hurling these attacks at her.
To defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street. And we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title...
Okay, it should be, but why would you ever expect that loyalty to be extended to you in any meaningful or stable way from Donald Trump?
...is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence.
14 years old is not a woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Freudian slip. Old habits die hard, okay?
You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention, in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women.
Trans agenda.
With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous...
Okay, so she'll say that, right? The left has hated her, and she has hated the left. That's been mutual ever since she came on the scene 5 years ago as a QAnon member of Congress, okay? And even with all of these supposed death threats, oh, I feel unsafe or whatever, she never needed a fucking security detail until Donald Trump and MAGA turned against her, until Donald Trump started calling her a traitor, and there were threats to her life from the right. That's when she needed fucking security, and that should tell you everything you need to know.
Slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family. But it's been wrong to my district as well.
Her family, and by the way, her husband, not long after Trump called her a traitor, her the one that she cheated on her previous husband with and has left that guy for and is with now, he made a post being oh, I love her or something like that, standing by his woman.
I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered...
And Marjorie Taylor Greene is nothing but serious and will not abide by a lack of seriousness in politics, okay? Take it from her. Queuing on her.
...wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can...
Gotta fluff that fake tree lady. Y'all are petty. Coming for her tree.
...never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well.
Her SO is the poor excuse for a wannabe reporter who was criticizing Zelensky for not wearing a suit in that meeting. I know. That's who she's with. I forgot to mention that.
There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common Americans...
Imagine having this much charisma. You know, I have seen moments where I feel that she has been genuinely like more charismatic, and even though I personally revile her, I can understand why she appeals to some people. Like, it's not entirely lost on me. There have been obviously at her lowest and worst moments, it feels that way. But in moments of like, you know, genuine sincerity, or when she's like again, yucking it up with fucking people like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson, even though I despise it and I personally don't like it, I can understand how and why it appeals to people, right? But like this right now, like, this is not even for lack of charisma that she sounds this way. I mean, she sounds like completely deflated, almost like she's under duress. But also like she has no stakes in this, because again, this is a woman who is obviously like, look at this home, look at her background. This is not, I don't think that she only got this house. I'm not saying that she lives in a fucking mansion or anything like that. But when you take a peek into her background, like she gets a lot of small dollar donations. Yeah. But she also took corporate money because she's business interest friendly. But her dad is she's like a small business owner. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene was always, you know, part of the owning class, upper middle class. So all of these, it is literally just fanfare for her. It's just chess. It's not anything that she has a personal stake in other than her personal reputation and how entertaining it is to her. So if she sounds deflated, I feel like it's a function of the fact that she can only care so much because it doesn't personally impact her that much. The stakes are not that high.
And people.
Yeah, she's a net worth of $20+ million, apparently. She's also the woman who followed around a mass shooting survivor on the street, harassing him for votes. Like, who does that sound like? You know, like what type of people do that? Like, it's also the same way that, like, when you look at the demographics of like the anti-mask protests or even January 6th, it wasn't a bunch of people that were like completely like working class folks from Appalachia that have been like led astray. It was people like, again, you have to think of like who can afford to be out at the Capitol during the day, during working hours on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. The only type of people that can afford to do that are people that are comfortable enough that they can take off work and it's not going to be an issue. People that have a shitty job and they're not scheduled on that day. But it's always like a lot of people who were like, I traveled from this place or that place. I flew in. I came up with my friends. It was people with money. It was small business owners. It was the fucking beautiful boaters. She is part of that class. All of this is just, it's like polititainment. It's hobbyism for them.
Realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead
she's not coming back to politics. Guys, never say never.
Reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington. Then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have. And I look
again, I just gotta keep on keeping on. I just gotta do me. The journey was the friends we made along the way. You know, I'm gonna be doing self-care. Don't worry about me, you guys. Like,
forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Okay, this fucking wicked bitch will not be missed. I do not care about her disingenuous pivot at the end. To the extent that I found it positive or a force for good, it was because it caused division within the MAGA movement, and that always brings me joy. Not really in a position to ever complain about that. And now it literally is culminated in her resigning. I hope that she does not, again, launch a Senate bid or a gubernatorial bid after this. Even if she does, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be successful. So there's that to look forward to. Maybe she's felt like, it couldn't get any lower than this because, again, I've already lost the support of the literal president who calls me a traitor. So if she wants to have a future, she has to leave now. Who knows? It'll be important to see. But yeah, I gotta head to Wicked Part 2. But again, remember, if you're not following me yet on Twitch, please go ahead and do so. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Hit the bell. That way you can know when I go live. Like the stream. It pushes it out to other people. If you want to support me, donation links in my Twitch chat, YouTube description box. You can also sub to me on Twitch, give subs throughout the chat, use your Amazon Prime sub. You get access to an ad-free experience as well as cute emotes. I'm at Straighterade _ on everything. I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't know what we're doing. Probably, Michael Tracy, Epstein debate. I think I want to look more into that. Ryan Grimm debated some hot girls for capitalism or Andrew Cuomo and apparently got curb stomped. So interested in seeing that. More fallout from this and delicious MAGA and, pro-Israel Christian Zionist fanaticism freaking the fuck out over Trump absolutely debasing himself for the Rizzler himself, Zohran Mamdani. May he live for 1,000 years. I'm sending you guys to IRI if you're on Twitch. My lovely, lovely audience, please be kind to these libs, okay? Please set a good example. And if you don't like him, just leave. I like IRI. And yeah, see you guys later. Bye.